As you can see, I'm using this quad ruled paper. And if I'm using a pencil, it doesn't have to be really this sharp. As you can see, this is really sharp. I like to use pencils that are worn out because they write really thick, as you can see. So I can use this one. And I'll show you that when I do the alif, I have to write small. So the alif has to be the size of the side of the square. So I do alif. And if I'm going to write the ba, it has to be the size of half of the square. So if I am highlighting, you can see, I'll go with the alif. You see the size of the alif? And if I am tracing, as you can see, if I am tracing the hamza has to happen on top of the alif over here. So you're putting the stick of the alif right there, and you are tracing the hamza on top. So maybe you'll be taking 2 squares just to write the alif. And of course, if it has fatha, then that's exactly 2 squares. The ba, I will highlight this so you can see it. It's taken half of, see that? Half of the square, only half. So if I want to write the ta and the tha and all of the letters that share similar height as the ba, I have to make sure that I'm using half of the square only. So think like about having 3 lines over here. So if I'm going to write my ba, I'll use a darker color. Here we go. So you can see I'm going to write alif over here, and then I'm going to write ba. The fathas, they go on top, or the short cases, I say the fathas because I have now 2. The dots, they go underneath. And if I'm ever writing any letter that has a lower shape, like the ra, I have to make sure that the sizing goes all the way to the bottom square over here. See this one? So the ra should take at least a whole square right there. But I'm starting from where I have the ba lifted. So I'll write it again. I'll write the zin, and you can see I'm going up, and then I write the z, zin. So this is a, which is alif. This is alif, a, and this is ba, b, and ra, r, and then I have zin, z. The other shapes have, I'll show you again. I'm going to keep doing this. That way you can see that I'm taking only half of this square. As you get comfortable, you will see that you can write without even highlighting the square. But I just want you to see where I'm going and where I end. So I go like that. I will take another letter, which is the del. It's another shape, and the ta. And I think I can take even the f. So I'll take a few more lines. And when I'm writing, I'm using basically, let's see which one I used. Yeah. The size, first I use the pencil, and I can go back again to writing with the pencil. And if I want to use the dal, I have to do the D like this. That's the dal. If I want to use the ta, I have to go a little bit on top of the second line, and I do the ta. I can even go smaller, it won't matter. So it depends on how you want your handwriting to be distinguishable. Add your own style, but keep the shape like this. Then we do the da. Let's say I want to do the fa. I'll write without these lines so you can see that I will keep my writing balanced. This is the fa, and this is the qa. So I'm writing with a pencil. Just in case I don't get my shape right, I can just erase, start all over again. Once I'm comfortable, I can start writing again slowly. And here I'll share with you another writing tool, which is this micro line. MS over here, as you can see, it's used for calligraphy, and the size is small, very small. SX. Is it? I think, yeah. X small, actually. I read it the opposite way. X small. So I will write with that, or you can write with Papermate pencil, which is also an ink pencil. So I'll write the del without these blue lines. I'll write the to, and I'll write the do over here. Then I'll write the fa. Again, I'll repeat all of these letters over here. Oh, I have a qaf over here. And then I'll go with my entire Arabic alphabet if I want to. And I'll go with alif, ba, ta. And you see how I'm holding? I'm going a little bit tilted. It's not like that. It's a little bit tilted. Alif, ba, ta. And I go with fa. The way I write the dots has to be very, very accurate. And maybe this is something I have to also highlight, is how close the dots are. So if I'm writing Arabic dots, they come actually just in these numbers. So you only have one underneath, or one on top of the letter, or you have two on top, but they have to be close. It's like you're given the square two eyes, and then you put two underneath. This is how close they have to be. Then you have about three. So you think about it this way. When I'm writing the three, they have to be close to each other as if they're creating a triangle. So 1, 2, 3. I'm writing a line. These are the two dots. I'm writing 1. It has to just fit in. And it's not a circle, it's a dot, but I just make the dot a little bit thicker. So if you're writing really fast, you will end up going like this. And you'll end up going like that. You'll end up going like this and like that. So it's not a circle, it's a full dot. You bubble it in, means you fill in. If you write in a circle like this and you want to make the circle a dot, you have to do it this way, but that means the letter is humongous. Like this is a b. So this is just how I can write. I will go with the accessible pen, which is Papermate, as you can see. This one over here. When you write with Papermate, it's ink, it's stable, and it doesn't shake your hand. So I will write over here my entire, finish a line of Arabic letters. Alif, ba, ta, tha. Then I go with the jim over here, and I keep writing all my letters. Let's say I like to write big, okay? I'll take a new page. I want to write real big. All I have to do is double the size of my writing. First, I used 1 line for alif. Now I'm going to use 2 lines for alif over here. And then I'm going to use the 3rd square for the hamza. So I'm going to color these over here. See that? 2 squares, meaning I go 2 sides, 2 lines up. Then the 3rd square has to have hamza. Now I want to write the ba. I will go again the same way. I will enlarge or make it big. Now I'm using, actually this one, I found it as an Inkit's Bible markers. They have them available, but they do have these tips right here that are very thin. But I find it hard to write with sometimes because when I tilt my hand, it doesn't come smooth sometimes. But when I use the Papermate, it's actually a lot easier. See, I can tilt my hand and I will still get the thickness that I want. And I want to write the ta, and I do the exact same sizing of the two dots together. Now, let's say I want to write a word. For me, I have to make sure that I do keep the sizes together. If I'm writing big, I keep writing big. I'm just writing random letters together. They don't make sense over here, but I'm just showing you that if I end up deciding to write real big, it will end up looking like this. And you see how large the letters become? If I decide to write small, this is how my writing will look like. And you can write as small as possible, as little, as slowly. So it's all up to you what size you'd like to follow or to apply and make it your personal writing or handwriting. So these are just ways you can write Arabic. And the papers that I'm gonna use next are the index cards. These index cards are ruled. For beginners, it's very important to write with the ruled ones. I suggest that you go for the colored ones. This one comes with 5 assorted colors. The color coding helps me remember maybe categories of vocabulary. But it also helps me organize my notes and maybe by level. If I go for words, phrases, then expressions, you can just decide which color should go for whatever category, depending on how you organize your study sessions. So here. If I'm using a ruled notebook, yeah, exactly, ruled notebook or index card, because even notebooks will come in this shape. I prefer to keep the red line on top because I can write English over here. So if I want to write an English word, I can just put it over here and I can maybe say إنجليزية. إنجليزية. And if I'm writing Arabic, I will do Arabic here, over here on the same line, and I do عربية. I'm writing normal at my regular normal pace. For beginners, make sure you're using these 3 lines to write real big. Writing an alif has to be as big as this. Writing a ba has to be as big as this. And then you keep going with the jim, the ha. You can separate or design to write maybe, let's see how many lines you can fit or words you can fit here. Exactly. So you can fit 2 words over here. So if I take a new one and I want to write big, I will go المدرسة, the school. المدرسة. I can fit another word here and I can say العربية. These ruled index cards, they help me stay focused and it's not a lot of distraction. And for me, I find it a lot easier in the beginner level to just focus on writing large words, because I have to make sure that my writing is aligned with the writing system, or the Arabic writing system, from right to left, keeping the scene together, the ta marbuta, the dots together. So I can just start forming my own index cards. And I'm writing like kind of block writing. That way it's easier to read. And if I ever decide to put short cases, I suggest that you use different color. I'll use a marker. Or actually here, you can also use these Sharpies. They're permanent markers. They're very thin. And you can go madrasa. Either Papermate or Sharpies are good. I don't have any difficulty with either ones. العربية. So either this one or the other. المدرسة. Then I write in English school. And then Arabic over here. If I want to write smaller, I can fit in more than 2 words. And this is only if you'd like to have, or maybe you are in the second level, you want to write more vocabulary. We use Alif Ba for beginner levels, for novice learners. So let's say I have vocabulary lists and I want to learn maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 words at the same time. I can split or design to have 9 words in one card. That way I'm not carrying so many cards. And I can remember that it's unit 1, 10 words from unit 1, 10 words from unit 2. And maybe I could just go for another color. I prefer to use white or yellow. And here's a different sizing. This size of index card is a little bit larger. It's about 4 inches, 4'6". Here's the sizing. You can fit more words in this one. Let me see if you can see that. There you go. You can fit more words in these large index cards, and you can use the small ones for beginner levels, novice learners. That way you can see how big Arabic looks and you can memorize the shapes of the letters. So let's say I want to go to my unit, which is unit 1 in Alif Ba, and I want to memorize the vocabulary. I still don't know how to read, but maybe as I am writing, I will start to sound out the word. I will use my Papermate. Let's see where I put it. There it is. So my Papermate, it's black, and I will use only 2 lines. And the first word I have, of course, is Assalamu alaikum. And I go over here and I write Assalamu alaikum. Do not worry about copying the exact same font you have in the textbook. As you can see, this is a computer writing. It's not regular handwriting. So do not worry about those edges at the end of the M or Alif. Just don't worry about that. All you have to focus on is the direction of the letter, the shape of the letter, and that's it. Those little tiny fonts or specific fonts do not matter, actually. There you go. And the other word I have is Ahlan wa Sahlan. I can skip a line or 2. Over here, I think I skipped 2, and I go Ahlan wa Sahlan. Write as slowly as possible. I could start with larger phrases like this. And then I have words, Medina, and I do it this way. I have أنا, I. And as you can see, not all of the words come with short cases. So marhaba comes with short cases. The font over here, when you're writing marhaba, the font gives you, I'm gonna write marhaba, which is hello. I'll write it over here next to أنا. Marhaba. So the font, what it does, it gives you the tanween on top of the alif. That's the computer font. You don't have to do it like that. You could, the way I learned it at school, I can write the word again. They taught us, at least in my generation, to write the two fathas or tanween tilting towards the alif and before the alif. So you write it over here, marhaba. Ahlan comes, you see how I did the same thing here for ahlan? And then sahlan also comes with fatha, tanween over here. The tanween is usually two fathas that are tilting down. So they're just going like this. You can write Medina over here. You're learning long vowels. Make sure you color code the long vowels. That way you know which sound you're extending. And that will be just how you can use index cards and also this type of notebook. And the other one I use is just a regular composition book. Composition books are really good. I mean, they feel like you're using index cards. You see how I'm starting from English? Like this is on the left side. So if I open my Arabic book, my Arabic will be like upside down. So I need to make sure I flip this and I start, or I open the notebook from right to left. And these are my notes. And you see how I'm writing Arabic classes. And if I'm writing Arabic adjectives, you can see the flashcards that we posted recently. You can use them as a form of writing technique. Look at the word and then start copying the vocabulary maybe 2 or 3 times. What I like about composition books, they come in also really as a great tool, because if you want to write big, the lines are really big over here and you have lots of space to write alif, for example. You want to write smaller alif, you can do it this way. Normal writing, I suggest that you keep your letters between these 2 lines. And here I'm writing the ba, the ta, the tha, the jim, and I go. So you're keeping the writing over here, unless you're writing a title like العربية. Everything has to be between lines. So whether you choose to write large, you have to have this type of measurement. And then whichever size you decide to go, if this is huge, like 1, 2, 3 lines, the second set of letters, they have to follow the same sizing, meaning half of what you decided the size of alif to be. So you go alif this way, ba has to be half of it. Ra, it goes below, and it also has to be following the exact same measurement. Pens to use: pencil first. You could use these Sharpies. They're quite thin. They're called fine point, used for AP writing. you can use Papermate, or if, of course, you have to have highlighters. Make sure you get a good set of highlighters. That way you can highlight the short cases, the long vowels. And if you have access to calligraphy pens, these are microlines, use the smaller size. So you have to decide which type of notebook you're going to use and which pen you're going to use. That way you can have some sort of consistency and have flashcards that will really help you in so many ways. Your pencil is your number one choice, and a notebook. So have a pen, paper, regular pen like this one, ink pen, pencil, and a notebook, and start writing Arabic. I hope this video helped you figure out the types of tools you can use and how to write Arabic if you decide to write larger sizes or smaller sizes. So I'll see you inshallah in upcoming levels. Enjoy your journey. Assalamu alaikum.